This tank is a VK-101P. This is a German Tier 8 heavy tank. The map is Prokhorovka. I am going to get 2,300 spotting damage in this game. I'm going to get 2 kills in this game. This is actually a wonderful tank. One of the great things about this tank is that the armor is very strong on all sides, so you're going to bounce a lot of enemy shots without trying. The other thing that I've discovered is that all of my heavily armored tanks I get higher average experience than in general. They're my best tanks. So you're going to probably get a higher EXP by playing a heavily armored tank such as this one. The tank is somewhat slow, so if you have any options to run any fuel consumables, you might want to do so if there are any available. I don't know if they are available for this particular tank. Now you might wonder, why am I not going up the hill? The reason why is because I don't like to take the easy positions. I like to take more adventurous positions. I like to take a unique position where I can give my team an advantage. We already have 4 tanks up on that hill, and adding another tank doesn't really give us an advantage. But if I can flank around, what I'm going to try and do is spot enemy tanks. I knock these trees down because there's a possibility that I might sit here and snipe. You want to knock as many trees down. It's very difficult to double bush with a large tank in this area. Once a tank is on the crest of that hill, they're going to be very difficult to snipe, but if they go over the hill or if they're on the approach heading up the hill, they are exposed. So you can see that we've got 3 enemy tanks in front of me. It is possible to spot from this position, however, it is very difficult. There's other positions, depending on what tank you play. Depending on what tank you play, you're going to get better spotting. The problem with these large tanks is that you have to be further from the enemy, because if you get close enough to the enemy, you're going to get spotted, you're going to get lots of incoming artillery fire, etc. Okay, so I got my first kill in the game. I did spotting damage on the Scorpion G, which was 210, and I got 180 damage on the VK-45. You'll notice that the enemy has left the hill. They appear to have given up their positions on the hill. So I decided to approach the midfield. There is a hill that right now I'm going over the crest of a hill, so if you are further south or north, you can't shoot at the targets on the opposite end of the map. You have to get onto the middle of the field in order to do so. With this type of a tank, because it's so large, you got to approach very slowly. There's a trick that you can use with the R key. Most people use the R key to go full speed forward, but you can go at a 3rd speed forward and approach slowly, and if you get spotted, you can stop immediately. Or if you spot the enemy tanks, you can stop immediately. See a lot of bushes in front of me. Haven't been spotted yet. I'm up to 1,000 spotting damage. Now I'm up to 1,600 spotting damage. You can see that the AMX AC-48 is also following along with me in the midfield. We only know of 1 enemy tank on this side of the map. I could fire my gun, or I could wait for my allies to shoot. Ideally, I want my allies to shoot so I don't get spotted. Now, the AMX that was riding along with me, he's the one that took out that SPG. Okay, so I got spotted, so now I'll fire if I want to. It won't affect whether I get spotted. So we know that there's an artillery on my side of the map. and I'm pinging the minimap showing my allies that there's another tank. I got 2,300 spotting damage, and I did 630 damage. And I'm reminding my team that there's another tank out there. And there he is. Scores 8-1. I'm up to 900 damage, 2,300 spotting damage. And I got 2 kills. Because this is a slow tank, it's very difficult to run around the field and clean up, so it's unlikely that I'm going to do any more damage. It's unlikely that I'm going to get any more damage or kills or anything else in this particular game. But this is a typical maneuver that you can use with this tank. Obviously, it works best if there's fewer artillery. We easily won on the east side. On the west side, they did not advance. Scores 13-1. But it shows you that even with a large, heavy tank, you can still drive in that center area. You can still put pressure on the enemy team. You don't have to go up on that hill like everyone else does. Missed that shot, which is too bad. And that's the game. This tank is the VK100-01P. This is a German Tier 8 heavy tank. The map is Prokhorovka. I'm going to show you a sniping position that you can use with this tank. I'm going to talk a little bit about the tank. You see this tank in the game and you wonder if it's a good tank to play. This is an excellent tank to play in the game. It's one of the tanks where I get the highest experience. It has excellent armor on it. It has very few weak spots. You're going to be weaker when you're up close to the enemy because it'll be easier for them to hit your weak spot. And when you're far away, it's far more difficult for the enemy to hit your weak spots. The other thing about this tank is that the enemy often bounces off my armor. I reviewed my highest experience tanks recently for the Progetto free tank mission, and what I discovered is that my most heavily armored tanks had the highest experience. When you can only hit the top of a turret, it's better to use a high explosive round. Obviously, that could have been the side turret, which means an AP round would be good. But if you can't penetrate with a regular round, switch to the high explosive rounds. I've got a lot of rounds. When you see a tank that's hidden behind buildings that are destructible, and you have a lot of rounds, I often knock the buildings down. So for that shot, we don't know if we did any damage. It's better to use an AP round to knock buildings down than to use a high explosive round. An AP round can go through more obstacles than a high explosive round can. That was a high explosive round, I believe. So far I've done 0 damage, however, I do have 450 spotting damage. From this location, I was able to spot an enemy tank. It's a lousy shot. This tank is the VK-101P. This is a German Tier 8 heavy tank, and the map is Mines. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get on the rear flank of the enemy team. This tank has great armor on it. The gun's not that great. There's really nothing special about the gun. And I'm a mid-tier tank in this game. So my choices are either head onto the island and try to go to the rear flank, or I could head up the hill in the middle. But it doesn't really have great gun depression, and you've got this big cupola up on the top, which is very easy to hit, and it's a strong weak point. So if I go to the hill in the middle, I'm going to take a lot of damage on that cupola, and they're quickly going to take me out of the game. So then the other option is to go where the T-34 is going. But if I head that way, the cupola's on the wrong side. You want the cupola to be on the right side of the gun. If it's on the left side of the gun, it's going to be easy for enemy tanks to hit that cupola. It's a very slow tank, but I decided to head directly south. And I've gone this way with many different tanks. It's definitely, if you can make it all the way to the south where the Chi-Ri is, you can do a lot of damage to enemy tanks. Now I want to keep my gun pointed towards the charioteer, because my stronger armor is where my gun mantlet is. You don't want him to hit the side of the turret. My allies have come part of the way, so they will be able to give me some assistance. We got to take these guys out of the game. A lot of sloppy shots so far. Now this guy, I'm just going to try and ram him if I can. Yeah, he's out of the game. I've got too many snipers backing me up. He never would have gotten anywhere. And the Chi-Ri's not penetrating my armor. So you want to go all the way to the red line as far as you can. The closer you are to the red line, the less you're going to get hit by artillery and other tanks. And it's like I said, that Chi-Ri, he's now in the middle of a crossfire. I'm surprised my allies haven't come down with me. Now, because it took a long time for me to get here, a lot of the enemy tanks are no longer on the hill in the middle. However, you can see me and the Batchat 25T, we're now advancing into the enemy territory. So the enemy won the hill, but they're not winning the game. You know, anyone who says win the hill, win the game doesn't know what they're talking about. It is just not true. We're winning 10-5. we're going to end up with control of the hill by the time the game's over. So I got 1,700 damage, 975 spotting damage, 1,400 blocked by armor. The score is 12-6. There's only 3 enemy tanks left in the game. We know where they all are. I'm going to speed it up a little. And that's the game. Now, basically what I'm doing is I'm using my artillery strike. I'm looking for a stationary enemy tank. It looks like it's not going to be easy to find because the enemy is fleeing from our zone. So what the mistake that I'm making is I should be looking at the other zones where I'm on B. I should be looking at A and C. I found a stationary tank, which was at T-32, and I laid an artillery strike on him. Let's see what happens. Doesn't say that any damage was done. He did start moving before the artillery drop was made. Now, because we just won this zone and my team is starting to advance, I'm reminding them in chat that they should go to the repair facilities. And I also ping on the mini-map the repair facilities so they know that they should, to remind them that they should repair. Now, if you look over here, you're going to notice that we have twice as many tanks as the enemy does. The enemy only has 5 tanks in the game. What does that tell you? We could easily rush to the E base and capture, no problem. We'll be 2-on-1. Will our team do it? I don't know. We're going to see. So basically what you do is you press the tab key. You can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 tanks, and they have 5. And it looks like 2 of our tanks left the zone. So we were almost 3-1. We got a 2-1 advantage minimum. We got some more tanks that are leaving the zone. And I'm reminding my team to capture E. What they don't understand, there's only 5 enemy tanks, and we've got 10 or 11 on our side. We should be rushing that cap. That means that the fastest tanks should be on that cap already, but they're not. We've got a T-44 rental that's sitting on the east, not getting there fast enough. The Progetto 46, he's not heading towards the cap. Got a lot of tanks that are too preoccupied with the A zone. So we don't have, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 7 or 8 going to the E zone where we had a 2-1, more than 2-1 advantage, and we're not taking advantage of it. You can see that all this time that I've been talking, we still don't have anyone near the base. They're trying to take up defensive positions and sniping positions. Now some enemy tanks are showing up. We got an IS-3. He's no match for our 7 or 8 tanks. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tanks. That IS-3 is no match for us 11 tanks. And the T-32. The Scorpion on the enemy team and the tank with him, they're not in good... Okay, they just came out again. But it's like 8 or 9 tanks against 4. We should easily defeat them. We are knocking their health points down, but nobody on my team has yet gone to the cap, and I'm probably the slowest tank on the team, and I just as well might be the first one to get there. So it goes to show you that people are completely unaware of how to play the game. And look at all the trouble these tanks are going to cause for me. You could say that at this point I'm the only hope for my team. My team should be doing everything to ensure that I get on that cap. Now, because I haven't played the game in over a year, and obviously the maps may have changed, you have to figure out where's the solid cover, where the Progetto 46 is. That's the best place to be. Nobody's going to be able to hit us if we're on that side. You don't want to be in the south. So I'm going to be heading towards the Progetto, take up a position where I should be safe. I waited too long to shoot at that tank, unfortunately. So I got a ricochet when I could have done some damage. Now that artillery is going to be a pain in my butt, isn't he? So obviously I should get closer to the house. I know that artillery is going to fire at me again, but at the same time I want to be able to take shots at enemy tanks that expose themselves. For example, if I reverse, maybe I can hit that T-28 prototype. We got a minute 25 to cap. And look, I'm going to pull up this map. Okay, so now the enemy has brought more people into our side, but we still outnumber them. We have one person spawning, respawning, and they've got 2 people respawning. If you look on the mini-map, you're going to notice that we control the southern part of Zone E. We've got a defender behind me, a WZ. I don't know what those other tanks are, but they just have to move a little north. I was able to do it. I'm pretty slow. They need to understand and learn that they have to do this to win the game. So finally we got this M41 that showed up. Okay, so now we've got these tanks showing up, but it really is too late. Too slow. Would have been nice if they were all here. If they were here sooner, we could have saved an extra 30 seconds or 45 seconds, and we would have had that much more time to try to win the game. Let's see if we do some damage to that WZ. So I did 23 damage to the WZ with the artillery strike. So we did capture the base. You notice it says that I'm inspired. What that means is that one of my allies used the combat reserve, which increases your crew skills by 10%. So now I'm going to slowly advance to the next sector. This tank is the VK101P. This is a German Tier 8 heavy tank. The map is Epic Normandy. I'm using a base defense strategy where I take heavily armored vehicles and I put them right on the base, and I prevent the enemy from accessing the base because I scare them away, or if they try to come up, I shoot at them, do damage to them. And because I have such strong armor, they can't really do anything. They can't get rid of me. Or it's difficult for them to get rid of me. And I've had games where I've gone with a well-armored tank and they've gotten rid of me quickly. And I've had games where I've gone with a well-armored tank and I've blocked tons of damage. It depends on your location. It depends on where the enemy snipers are. Depends on what tanks the enemy has. The best position that I found is basically to be on this side of the slope, a little bit over here to the right, not exactly where the T-44 is, but where he is would work fine. And don't advance any further. You can actually sit right there. So we're getting close to a position where you can defend from. Perhaps where I'm rolling into right now is a good defense position. Not necessary to go further into the base. But, you know, you got to try. You got to try and see what happens. There's no one to tell me the correct strategy, so I have to figure it out on my own. And everybody can call me a noob. You're a noob! Okay. Okay, so let's go back into the game mode so we can see the correct sniper mode. So now that I've taken some damage, I am reversing. He showed me a side turret, but unfortunately I missed. You really want to have the vertical stabilizers and the gun laying drives the vertical stabilizers, and the gun laying drives, because you got to aim. You're shooting at longer distances in this game, and aiming is more important than reloading. So I'm low on hit points, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start heading back to the repair facility. You can see that I reversed. Get it up to 100%. Turn while I'm repairing. Head back out. And I want to use the same strategy. The strategy is to have strong armor, prevent them from capping. You have to kill the enemy tank to stop the capping. The artillery has been a pain in my butt, so I would say that one of your biggest threats is a good enemy artillery. If they know the right tank to focus on, they can be a real pain.
Zone B has been lost. The enemy got extra time.
Now, it's really bad for me to show him my side armor, but you got to take the approach properly. I took the wrong approach to get up to the hill. That's actually a good angle that I have right there. Maybe not. If you don't know what to do, if you've got... Right now, we've got an enemy tank, the Mauerbrecher, in the center of the screen. And then we've got these other tanks, the IS-6 and the Defender. And if you don't know how to angle your tank, you're going to point one corner towards one group of tanks, and you're going to point the other corner towards the other tank. And that's going to give you the best angle when you're out in the open against two different opponents. And that's absolutely what I'm doing right now. Take a look at that angle. Unfortunately, that was a lousy shot. I always reverse while I'm reloading, and when I'm halfway reloaded, I go back into my firing position. So I want to fire as soon as it's reloaded. That maximizes your DPM. I believe that may have been with an HE round. I think I loaded up an HE round. Perhaps there's a bug in the game that doesn't show what round I used when I fired. I don't know. Am I switching back to... Yeah, I'm switching back to the HE rounds. Go after that guy. Now, he's not capping, so what I could do is just do nothing. The best strategy, don't take any damage. Just sit there and do nothing. Stay hidden. Let it be his problem. Wait until he tries to cap. When he tries to cap, then you go after him. He's low on hit points, so I want to take him out of the game. So I'm going after the tank with the lowest number of hit points. I got 2,800 damage, 3,800 blocked by armor.
You have been promoted.
And I got 1,700 spotting damage. In 10 seconds, I'm going to have the artillery shot. It takes a while to learn. You notice that I saw the Progetto behind me, which is why I showed you the rear view, but my ally took him out of the game. I took way too long to aim. I'm up to 4,600 blocked by armor. I forgot to use my artillery. You want to use those. Yeah, see, I got hit by the artillery, so I wasted my repair kit. Should have used it earlier. So now it's time to go back for repairs. Usually when I'm repairing, that's when I'm going to use my artillery. Because while you're repairing, you have the time, you're sitting there waiting, nothing to do. Load up that combat reserve. Okay. So unfortunately, I didn't make it back to repair, but let's move on to the next video. Okay, so we just finished capturing a base, and we need to head north to start going after the primary objective, which are those gun turrets. I need to get to that repair facility. It says that I've been damaged by artillery fire, so obviously someone dropped some artillery on me. So far for this game, I did 2,600 damage, 5,200 blocked by armor, 2,000 spotting. I'm going to say on average I do around 6,000 to 8,000 damage. It's pretty typical. It depends on what tank you play. If you play primarily for capping, you're not necessarily going to do a lot of damage. So I do need to make sure that I can get to the resupply point. I am a little bit concerned that in the north in front of me there's a lot of enemy tanks. There's a T-32, a T-44, an IS-3, a Panther II, another T-44. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my allies are repairing. They're going to repair and resupply. They're going to hopefully start advancing forward, and then once they've moved onward, I'm going to slowly follow them from behind. Now, one of the things that I know about this game is because my tank is very slow, I'm never going to make it to those objectives. I'm never going to get behind those guns. So what my plan is to support my team from long range. Anything that they spot or whenever they're in danger, I'm going to try and take out any tanks that I can see from wherever I am, even if I got to chase the tanks down. This is an example where I'm repositioning so I can hit some tanks that are closest to me on the minimap. Unfortunately, I didn't do any damage. Very important that I don't get spotted because I do need repairs. And he's out of the game. So I'm going to go do my repairs. We got 5 minutes left. We need to advance. Oh, they are advancing. Okay, so we've only captured E. They haven't advanced in the other two zones yet. You don't want to get hit while you're on the repair zone. If you get hit, it's going to stop your repairs, and then you're going to get the 3 or 4 minute penalty before you can resupply. It's 4 minutes. So now I'm going to try to figure out where can I find some enemy tanks to go shoot at. And you'll notice that I do keep an angle. Why want to show me? I do keep a relative angle on my tank. You keep the gun over the inside corner of the track. That angle is going to help deflect some incoming fire.
Objective 2 reached.
You notice that I'm already adjusting my angle. I'm constantly adjusting my angle. They're all shooting at me, and I'm out of the game. This tank is the VK100-01P. This is a German Tier 8 heavy tank, and the map is Epic Normandy from the Frontline game mode. The reason why I chose this tank is because the spawn point is relatively near to the base, and we really need a heavily armored tank to sit on that cap to start running the cap timer. This tank has really good armor. It's one of the best armored tanks that I have for Tier 8. The gun's okay, and we're doing pretty good. We've got decent control, but we don't have people sitting on the cap. It looks like we've got perhaps 1 tank on the cap, but we really should have 3 on the cap. Having 3 on the cap is the most painless option. The clock timer will run 3 times as quickly, and we'll move on to the next capture point faster, and we'll have more time to finish the ultimate objective. So people haven't understood yet the importance of getting on that cap as quickly as possible. Obviously, it's taking me a long time to get there, but I will get there.
Our reinforcements have arrived.
The way that I play the game is I usually take the job that nobody else wants to do. And I know that it's necessary to cap, so that's why I do it. It's a necessary part of the game. I'd rather be the one who caps than sit here shouting at people, you know, begging them to get on the cap, because they never do. So we got 3 people on the cap. It's going to go from 42 down to 26 seconds. So we cut the time in half. And I've got my full health. You notice I chased him down and didn't even fire my gun. Obviously, they could throw an artillery strike against me, but it's unlikely to take me out of the game.
Captured Zone B.
Okay, so we
Time has been added.
captured Zone B, and we got extra time. In addition to that, I did it 26 seconds faster than if we had done it with only 1 or 2 tanks.